Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60andMe. Hope you're doing great this morning. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for so many of the kind emails you've been sending me and for just the support that you're showing for 60andMe. It really means a lot to me, and I'm so grateful that you're part of my family and I'm part of yours. It's wonderful to know you're all sitting there maybe in your kitchen, your living room, having a cup of tea or coffee, evening drink, and just know that we're here for each other. It really means a lot. So anyway, I hope you're having a good morning. My tea of the day is organic apple and cinnamon. I got a whole little collection of teas I sent off for it's a random selection. And the company is Heath and Heather. It's a UK company, but it's really a nice tea. It's apple and cinnamon, and cinnamon has such a scent to it. It's so unique. But anyway, I hope that you're enjoying something that you love to drink as well. So I want to mention that our show today is sponsored by International Living. Now, International Living is a company that I recommend because they're a great source for information on retiring abroad. So if you're thinking about going to another place to save some money or to have a different lifestyle, try something new in your retirement, they offer several different guidebooks and resources for you to examine the options. So if you go out to their website, internationalliving.com/60andme, there's actually a report they put together, which is 5 places that you might want to consider going abroad and just testing it out. You're doing kind of a 1 month or 3 month trial. And it talks about how you can do this for less than $1,500 in these 5 different places around the world. So hope that you checked out their resources there. They've got ambassadors on the ground. They've got people that are really checking out the real world situation. And their advice is very authentic and to the point. So thanks to International Living. Now, my topic today, it's a topic that I can almost feel it in my voice as I'm rushing along here. I have to slow down a little bit. Is that we tend to have this obsession with being busy. One of our bloggers, Teresa Beshwaite, wrote an article, and I really enjoyed reading it. I advise you to check it out because she clearly has thought about this at some level that makes a difference, and I think it's something that we should consider. So when's the last time you said to somebody, "How are you doing?" And the first thing they say is, "Oh, I've been so busy," or "crazy busy," or whatever the answer, but they've been busy, as if that was some kind of badge of honor. Like it's we're competing here. Like, I'm busier than you. No, I'm busier than you. And I know for sure when I was working full time, this was exactly the way that people would always greet each other. And it really was kind of a badge of honor, like as if you somehow had earned an accolade, like an award. As Teresa mentions, the drums and the trumpets will go off. Who was the busiest? And we put this sort of value on production rather than on being. And I think this is the angle that Teresa takes, which is really interesting to me. She questions, where did this start? Where did we start thinking that it was better to be busy than to be inactive? That somehow inactivity is a bad thing, and being busy is the way we should live our lives. Children today, they're so, in my opinion, over managed and over scheduled. They've got ballet one night, they've got kung fu the next night, they've got writing class the next night, reading, whatever. And not that children don't have more opportunity now, and it's just fabulous for them to be so educated and so to follow their abilities and their talents. But children are far more overscheduled than I certainly remember me being. I remember my mom throwing us out the door and saying, "Come back for dinner," and we would, we'd make our way back for dinner. But there's kind of this affection for the state of busyness that I think is overtaking our world, not just our country. But anyway, I think that Teresa raises a very good point here. There's truly lots of reasons to be busy. It's not as though we don't have things to do as older women. We're working, many of us, working full-time or part-time. We've got caregiving responsibilities, sometimes looking after grandchildren and volunteering. We've got events that we like to go to. We want to travel. All these things do produce a busy life, but it doesn't have to be busy in the way that we approach it. And I think that's really, really funny. Another thing about where it started, she talks about the Industrial Revolution and where, on the assembly line, you were measured and rewarded by the number of items that you could produce. It was quantity of production rather than the quality necessarily, or just the being that you might experience. So I think that's really important. Now, there's a cost of being busy. And the 4 words that Teresa uses are overtired, overstressed, overweight, and overwhelmed. Those are great words, all those words. Busyness is doing and being active and just not being. And it does affect our health. It's stressful. It's, we do get sick. We get, our immune system gets a little bit affected. And so it's really health-wise, there's an impact. But the most important thing that Teresa mentions, and I think is so important, is that it affects the quality of the connection. We just don't allow ourselves deep conversations anymore. And I know there's lots of jokes about, you start with a paragraph, then you go to a sentence, and then you go to, half a sentence, and then a tweet. And almost that's how people are thinking about communication these days. And I even know when I write articles, I find myself writing short sentences. We don't go into the depth of a topic, or the rambling, deeper, meaningful conversation is not the goal. It's not the priority. So as a result, I think we just don't know each other in the same way. There's this personal element, like that conversation of how are you? Well, if it starts with, oh, I'm just super busy, then where does that take you? Unless someone in the conversation says, tell me about what you've been doing, or bring me up to speed on that thing that's keeping you really occupied. And then if you take the time, that's the important thing. And then if you take the time to sit down and discuss it, then there's value. But I think we rush. Part of it, I think, is that Teresa mentions, we fear this silence. We fear being alone. And we fear that if we're not active and dynamic and doing something, being measured in a positive way, that our lives are not as valuable. And for me personally, I see this because I'm managing a lot of different moving parts with 60andMe, and we're writing different articles and interviews. But honestly, the most precious times are those when I can just stop with my family or with a friend and just talk, just go deep. And I think that's sort of, it's like the hamster mentality is what is she called? Active stagnation. It's like active, but you're not doing anything. You're not moving anywhere. You're like the little hamster going round and round and round. So she gives some advice, and I think this advice is super, super helpful. First of all, she says, if you say, I don't have time to exercise, I don't have time to go for a walk, what you're really saying is, I'm not going to prioritize that. Exercise is not a priority for me. That's what you're really saying. You're not saying, I don't have time to do something. You're saying, I'm not making time to do something. Time is there for us to use in any way that we want. But we tend to, choose the things that keep us busy and distracted and not getting to the point. So what Teresa says is, set yourself, just prioritize. Figure out what your priorities are in your life. And then start, setting goals, reasonable goals, achievable goals around those priorities, because then you can start seeing results. And even if you are busy, and that means you don't have a lot of extra hours in the day, you know that you've been putting it towards the things that you said were your priorities. And I think that that's the important thing. So it's hard. This is really hard. And I know this because I've tried it many times myself. But putting yourself first is hard. If you are a people pleaser, you're going to just keep prioritizing other people. If you're a giver, you're going to be prioritized by other people. So it's that matter of, and that's going to suck your energy and keep you busy. So I think the point here is that if you can set your own priorities and goals, then you can start enjoying the activity that leads you to achieve them. And you're not constantly freaking out because you're not getting anything done. You're too busy. This applies to work particularly. I wish I'd thought about this more when I was working, but you don't. You just get caught up in the world. So I hope that you found this a useful conversation. Thank you for Teresa for writing it. I want to mention too that, we've got lots of places here on 60andMe where you can go and read articles on topics that are relevant to you. So you can get very focused if you want to read about, downsizing or well-being or nutrition or travel. We've got, on the website, you've got headings so you can go if you like to play games, if that's a priority for you. This is the whole point, is it doesn't have to be serious. Your priority could be relaxing and meditating. We've got articles on that. So check out 60andme.com. That's our place to go for articles. And then the website here on YouTube, that's a great place to check out too. And we've got lots of yoga videos, all kinds of interesting things that are totally free of charge. You can watch the videos and enjoy them, and then leave your feedback. So I'd like to know, how much time and do you leave enough time and energy for the things in your life that value most? Or are you caught up in the hamster wheel? Now, do you think you're overscheduled? Do you agree that you need to prioritize and then set some goals? I'd love to know how busy you think you are. How would you answer that question? How are you doing? Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Check out all of our websites, as I've mentioned. And if you've got a moment, you go check out patreon.com. It's our VIP private group, which is thriving. We're having so much fun out there. If you want to join us for more private, personal conversations, you can join us there. But we're really glad that you're here right now where you are, and appreciate all your support. And have a wonderful day. Take very good care. Bye-bye for now.